Tribe family. We are back for another episode of Soul Seat Conversations, our mental health podcast for resilient humans on the grow. If you are new here, my name is Soliel Lindsey. I am the owner of Soul Rise Essentials, where we offer mental health speaking. We offer mental health products for resilient humans on the grow for children and for adults. Right now, you are tuned into one way that we create community via the Soul Tribe family, a global community of resilient humans on the grow that we are building. And this podcast is a way that we reach them. This podcast, Soul Seat Conversations, exists to share stories of resilience, to build global community, and for you to discover new ways to thrive via the brave voices of others. I am so excited to see y'all joining us live. I'm just going to make a couple announcements, but share this video, y'all. All the episodes of the podcast are absolutely amazing, but today I'm super excited because y'all are about to get tapped into the story of Dr. K. They do not share their story in the way that they will be sharing it today. And I'm just so excited. So before we get into them and what they're going to be talking about, their story today, let me go through and do some housekeeping. Y'all know how we do here. Again, if you're new here, my name is Soliel Lindsey. I am super passionate about mental health, mental wellness, conversations around them. So that is why this podcast exists. If you are looking for a dynamic, engaging, relatable speaker for facilitation, workshops, commencement speeches, convocation speeches, all the things, you can book me at booksoliel.com. So that's BOOK. And then my first name, SOLIEL.com. You can also shop our merch. I am wearing our logo t-shirt today, and we are trademarked. If you don't see it, Bookie, we are trademarked. This is a trademark logo t-shirt. You can buy this and so much more. Our mental wellness manifesto poster is also available on our website. We have jewelry, we have merch, we have hats for children and for adults. So go on and get you some, okay? Lots of bright colors, because we believe in color therapy. Lord Jesus, I can't talk. Color therapy, because it picks up your mood. We design our colors and our designs that you see with lots of intention. And that is to pick up your mood if you happen to be having a bad day. Okay, so y'all go ahead and share this with some people who like conversation. They want to laugh. They want to get some gems dropped on them. They want to get some wisdom dropped on them. Definitely go ahead and share this with some people in your community that would enjoy this conversation. Let's see here. Again, I already talked about the merch. You can shop at soulriseessentials.com. That's SOLRISE, just like this, .com, soulriseessentials.com. Trigger warning, because y'all know that this is a mental health, mental wellness podcast. We ain't here to diagnose and treat nobody. Dr. K does happen to have a lot of credentials, but today they are sharing their lived experience, and we ain't treating nobody, okay? We are simply thrivers and humans sharing our lived experience. Nothing more, nothing less. Although we do have a bunch of therapists and stuff that come on, they are taking those hats off, and they are simply humans sharing their lived experience. So we're not here to treat or diagnose or give any medical or professional advice. If something that's said here seems to trigger you a little bit, feel free to pause it. Feel free to exit out. Feel free to send it to somebody else that may be a better fit for. And go to our website, and check out any other episodes that may be of better interest to you. So again, we're just humans sharing our lived experience. And you can find all of our episodes on YouTube. Just type in Soul Seat Conversations. That's SOL, seat, like you're sitting in a seat, conversations. Or you can just type in Soul Rise Essentials and you will see our Soul Seat Conversations playlist there. If you have a personal story, resilient story, mental health, mental wellness story that you would like to share, you can reach out to us at soulriseessentials.com. Share your story with us. We'll just make sure it's a good fit for our platform and get you on the schedule. Baby, we booked all the way up till 2026 as of right now. So I think right now we have March on up available. So y'all come on in the room. Okay, we do this once a month. It's been amazing. And if you happen to be watching the replay right now, drop down in the comments, #replay. And I think those are all of my, hold on. How am I going to forget, child? I ain't gonna lie to you. I slept in a little bit today and your girl brain is still waking up a little bit, but it's okay. I'm getting it together. Do y'all know that we just dropped an anthem on all music streaming platforms. If you don't know, now you know. So just go ahead and write it in your notes or on a notepad, because you're not going to leave this live if you're already in here live. You're going to go check it out after you get off. We are taking the industry by storm. I was reached out to Jordan Knox, who was on our podcast, who shared her story of living with schizophrenia. She reached out because she's a rapper and she wanted to create a song for my brand, Little Old Me. And it's a bop. I'm going to tell y'all right now, it's giving 90s vibes. It's giving good vibes. It's giving living single, like, theme song. It's just a bop, yo. And it's called Soul Rise. You will see my face on the art cover. So that's how you know you got the right song. But it is by Jordan Knox, Knoxx, and Amira Malika. That's AMERA MALYKA. Soul Rise. It is a bop. And when we say Soul Rise, it's SOL Rise. All music platforms is streaming right now. So Tidal, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, all the things, Spotify, YouTube, and you can purchase it as well. You can also go to our website. What's up, Gabby? You can also go to our website and purchase it there as well. And we have some more exciting information that goes along with that. Can't wait to share that with y'all. But super duper excited. We're celebrating 4 years with a new mental health anthem. Period. Baby, I'm gonna be walking out on stage to it. It's gonna be, I'm so extra, y'all know. It is a bop. My best friend Amira is singing on it. It is absolutely amazing. She was also on the podcast sharing her mental health story as well. This is a feel-good song. So go check it out. Again, it's called Soul Rise. 2 words, SOL, Rise. It says, get your mind, body, and soul. Rise up. It's all you need to conquer this world. Get your mind, body, and soul. Rise up. Come journey with us. Then there's a part of there where she was like, hold up. She said, Soleil's combos to bring the heat. Get some merch and go with your inner soul shine. Hey, yo, it's a bop, baby. It's a bop. Okay, Dr. K, honey, come on in the room, child. Come on in the room. Thank you for your patience. I am going to send this live to a few people real quick. And y'all do the same thing, okay? Let's get some folks in here live with us to hear this conversation, honey. This is a resilient queen. Do you hear me? Dr. K is a powerhouse. Don't play with them. Yeah, dope. Okay? Yeah. All right, I'm sending this to y'all now. Yes, Gabby, you better bop to it. It is a bop. Thank you so much. The song, it goes crazy. Room. Let me drink some water because y'all know. Hey, Dr. T, Dr. Tillery. Oh, how are you?
Thank you.
You came with it, Addie. Welcome to Soul Seat Conversations, Dr. K. It is so good to have you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this since we had our conversation months ago, actually. And what's so funny is when you emailed me, I was like, I'm happy that Soleil emailed me because I could not remember the date to save my life. And I kept saying, I know it's coming up, but
Yeah,
when?
baby.
So it was perfect.
I'm glad we got it done, and I'm glad you ain't like, why is this girl emailing me so late? Life has been so busy, but we got it done. The flyer is out. We look good. We here. We made it. I just have to give the backstory. First of all, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I did go and I hit the Googles. This one right here can tell somebody, Google me, baby. You can Google Dr. K, okay? Because when I was doing the Googles, baby, I don't know if you know, but you have a whole, I ain't gonna show y'all how many windows I got open, y'all. But let me tell you something. A whole scroll on the VCU website, okay? It's giving all of the academics, it's giving the education, it's giving the papers written, it's giving the research, it's giving the courses that have been taught, it's giving the awards. And let me just read off a couple of these real quick. Spring 2024, you were honored by the Pan-African Network 30 Under 40, okay? Spring 2024, the Presidential Award for Community Multicultural Enrichment. Tristan Sloan Student Award. All the things, child, it's giving, honey. I could keep on reading. But what I want people really to know about you is that you are taking like your industry, academia, the internet, like by storm. You got a whole lot to say, and it's not just opinions, okay? It's fact based as well, and all the research, okay? Decorated, okay? Dr. K. So I'm honored. Thank you for being.
Period.
I'm so excited. So we initially met actually back in middle school. I went to
Yes.
Benford Middle School for a very short stint because I was getting in trouble in my home schools, and we never hung out, but I remembered your face and I see you doing all the things that you do now. And so it's just a full circle moment. People in the comments like, period, Kalyn, period, is giving. Yes, because you are, I feel, a true powerhouse. So
Thank
that is
you.
how we met initially, and now we're all grown up doing our
Yeah.
own things in our respective ways. And so I'm just excited that people who know you and also people who maybe know your work online and in your space get to see a different side of you.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself, my love.
Yes, so I am Dr. Kalyn Coghill. K is fine. Dr. K works as well. My pronouns are they, them, Beyonce. Yes, I said Beyonce. If you know, you know. I am the Beyonce of academia.
Period.
And I am a Richmond native, okay? I got 804 tattooed on my neck. I got Richmond tattooed across my fingers. Like, when you think of Richmond, I want you to think of me. I consider myself a Northside girl. My dad's side of the family would say otherwise. They would say I was South Side, but you know, listen. I've lived on all the sides. But I am a scholar, so I do research around digital misogynoir, which is the anti-black racism and sexism towards Black women, non-binary femmes, gender expansive folks. And then I also am a professor at several different universities as an adjunct. I've created classes like hip hop feminism, Black girlhood studies, misogynoir in digital spaces, so on and so forth. I also have two businesses. So I have Kalyn Coghill LLC, which is a consultancy where I do like workshops, speaking engagements. I also do research. I'm a disability advisor for a large university. And my other business is Hood Rat Scholarship. We're on Instagram. Follow us. And
Period.
it is basically like an educational consultancy slash think tank where basically like my goal as like someone who has a PhD, who's first generation, who comes from the city, is to basically scam the system. So whatever I learn in like these colonized academic spaces, I take that information and then I share it with my people, but I make sure it's in a way that's accessible. So that's basically what Hood Rat Scholarship does. We have a lot of stuff coming up for the city this year as well. And I am the community safety and support steward for Black Sky Algorithms, which, for a lack of better words, is a moderation service and a Black digital community on the social media app Blue Sky. Um, I'm a fur mom. I'm a wife, a sister, a mentor. I'm in a sorority. Shout out to Sigma Gamma Rho, Sorority Incorporated. I am a part-time self-proclaimed comedian, and I love karaoke. Can't really sing, but I got a karaoke mic in the house. I'm a published poet, and I'm really just, I consider myself like the it girl, because like I do a little bit of everything. I'm an abortion doula, and I try to make sure that like I only do things that I'm passionate about. So a lot of things that you'll see me doing, whether me creating content or Googling me or whatever it may be, or interacting with me online, like I really like talking how I walk it. I try to make sure that I'm actually doing things that I believe in. So that's kind of like where I've come to for my career.
Girl, you are the it girl. And I love the confidence. I love that other people watching this can see you just a roundaway girl
Yep.
who got to it, who's been through it, got to it, and is giving Sankofa coming back and giving
Yep.
it back to our people. Like, I love that. You are literally living that principle out loud. And I love that for you. Even when we had our pre-interview, we were just talking, just
Yes.
like, but you still Dr. K, but you still Kayla. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
that was really cool. Because there are so many people that go on and do great things in their life, and they seem to lose who they are at their core. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
is this Kalyn from Bedford or Kalyn from, you know what I'm saying? Like, what
Exactly.
you giving, baby? What you giving? And it wasn't giving that. And I so appreciate that. And coming on, look, our little podcast, baby, I'm grateful. Before we get into everything, all the things, I always start with a segment where I ask people how their mental health is today.
Mm-hmm.
So on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being like, it could be way, way better. 5 being like, I'm doing amazing. On a scale from 1 to 5, how is your mental health in this moment?
I would say it's probably like a 3.5. I'm like in the middle right now.
Give us more to work with that.
Yeah, so I had therapy this morning. So that's why I'm at a 3.5 because I had to revisit some feelings that I had. Just really working through like a lot of like deep core like parental loss from childhood, but also like neglect, abandonment, and trying to work through like a mother wound. So for me, like that's like a constant reoccurrence in therapy. And I just recently read a book called The Girls That Grew Big by Layla Motley. And it was about like teenage mothers and motherhood and stuff like that. But that book like triggered something to me in me of longing to not feel motherless. So I've been kind of like dealing with that. And I had to talk about it in therapy. So although like I am okay, I know that like at my core, I am battling something that's bigger than myself that I've been dealing with for the past 34 years. So
Yo,
yeah.
that right there. Thank you for sharing that. It really makes me think of some things. I was thinking about journal entries,
Hmm.
literally from the time I can remember starting to write in my journal. And I said to myself, girl, you are still writing about the same thing. And it's
Hmm.
including a mother wound. And we could do
Yeah.
all this work. People think that healing is like a destination. No,
Yep.
it's just part of life, and I
Yeah.
know people hate that perspective as well, but just because, we thought we worked through this, oh, I'm healed now. I don't believe in that.
No.
It just resurfaces, baby. I was just reading a book, and
Yep.
it came up. So it's how you work through that moment. You took your tools, you went to therapy. I'm sure you got some more tools in that therapy
Yep.
session, and you were able to get it up off your chest, even if it was for a little bit. So we know how to try to deal with it and cope with it better once that other trigger comes up 5 years from now that we didn't think was going to come up. Um,
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. I like to
Mhm.
also, oh, and I will want to say this before I move on and answer the question myself. Um, I'm actually not writing about those things in my journal anymore. I've had a perspective shift recently.
Mhm.
So I'm moving into a different space with that. But just want to share that. Thank you for sharing that. So for me, where am I at? I ain't even gonna hold you, baby. I'm a little tired today, but mental health wise, I feel like I'm about a 4. I have been doing
Mhm.
some new things with my mental health regimen over the last few months, and I'm really feeling the positive effects of it. Because I was telling
Good.
the last guest last month that if you've been watching this podcast for like the last 4 to 6 months, child, I've been giving y'all like a 2, maybe a 3. It just is
Mhm.
what it is. We're
Mhm.
whole people at the end of the day. There's so much work that you do. There's so much work that I do that we have to
Yeah.
show up for every single day. It's deep work, and
Mhm.
we got our own personal stuff, which probably led us to the work, but it make us exempt from bad days. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Poor mental health, going to go see a therapist, going to go see a psychiatrist, whatever it
Mhm.
may be. So honoring all of that can feel like a bunch of weight at times, but I don't not honor it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So thank you for answering that. Before we get into your story, I'm going to move into another segment where we just kind of do some mindful breaths to kind of like decenter
Mhm.
where we were before, get recentered, and going on to what we got to talk about. Do you practice any type of mindful breathing?
Yes.
Okay, period. So you know about box breathing, square
Oh
breathing.
yeah, that's my favorite. Box breathing is my favorite.
Let's
Hmm.
do it. So we're just going to do some 4 counts essentially. So we're going to do
Okay.
4 rounds. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then we're just going to do it again 4 times.
Okay.
So just get, relax. You already know the drill, honey. And
Hmm.
then I'm going to count us off. 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4 and hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. Inhale for 4 and hold. Release. Third one. Inhale and hold. Release. Last one. Inhale And hold, release. Easy, accessible. How do you feel?
Good. It's so funny. I remember when I first started meditating like 10 years ago, I would cry every single time. I don't know what it was about those deep breaths, but they used to, baby, I used to be crying. So it's so interesting now that like I do it all day, like just without even realizing it. And now it feels different in my body than it did when I first started doing it. So I'm really happy that you have this segment because a lot of people don't realize that like meditation, just like healing, is a lifelong journey. You never become a master meditator. Like, so like I'm happy that you had that segment. So thank you for that.
Yes, 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 yes. You know what I love about these different breathing techniques? They are free. You ain't gotta pay for it.
Yep.
You know? I love that. I love that. I love that. Have you read the book called Black Girls Breathing?
No, but I took a sound bath. I took a breathing class with her in
Oh,
2018 when she first started over Zoom, and I get her emails and stuff, but I haven't. If it's the same girl that created Black Girls Breathing, I didn't know she had a book.
yeah, she has a book. It's brand new. Her name is
Okay.
Jasmine, right? Is it Jasmine?
Yep, Jasmine.
Yes, that's her. And it's so funny that you mentioned the Zoom because she talked about those Zooms in the book and how she got started to where she is now. And her
Yeah,
book is phenomenal,
I'm gonna
actually.
have to get that. I didn't even know, so thank you for telling me
Yes,
that.
Patty, Black Girls Breathing. Okay, let's get into this story, baby. I have so
Yes.
many notes, Kalyn. I'm like, yo, what I want to know first from you is okay for those of you watching who are not familiar with either of us. We live in Richmond, Virginia. So when they're referencing South Side, North Side, like we're talking about where we grew up at, where we're from, right?
Hmm.
So I want you to talk to our audience about what it was like being you as a kid, and you can even go prior to where before we met in middle school. Take us back, like because when you were telling me over the phone what you were going through when I saw you in school, I would have never guessed any of that. So talk
Yeah.
to us about little Kate.
Yeah, so I come from two parents who were in the streets, to say the least. And my mom's from California, my dad's from Southside, and um, they met on a bus. My dad told my mama, "I like your anklet," and then they started going together, and then I was born. But when I was younger, I grew up in very like impoverished areas when I was small. We lived with a lot of family members, and then around the age of like at 6 months, my mom picked up and moved back to California with me. So from 6 months to about, I think 3, we were living in California. And I don't remember much about that part of my life. What I do remember is once we got back here. So once we got back here, around 6 years old, my dad was murdered, in Fairfield Court. And when that happened, like things shifted. My mom has always dealt with like mental health issues and things like that, but I can honestly say that when my dad passed away, even though they weren't together, they were still friends, like something shifted.
Mm,
And for me, I was literally just telling my therapist today, like I cannot like really remember much of my life before my dad passed away. And I from what I can remember from 6 on, I started to experience trauma that would definitely impact the rest of my life. So, like I said, I grew up in Richmond. I had moved to so many places before the age of 9. Like we never had a stable living environment. We was living with people on a sofa. There were times where I thought we were like vacationing at the Motel 6. No, girl, we was living there. Like, you know what I mean? So we were all over the place. My mom, she had a job, but now that I'm an adult and I've had conversations with like my great aunts and stuff, like she wasn't really working. She was, living a street pharmacist. She was just scamming, doing whatever she could. But for me, I was enamored by my mom. I thought my mom was the funniest person I knew. She was my best friend. I was obsessed with her in a way. So as a child, when I was living with her, I was not very aware of what was happening around me because as long as I was with her, I was okay. But when it got to a point where she could no longer take care of me, where, I became a latchkey kid at like 7, and she was working overnight. And I would be at home by myself at night, which is crazy when you think about a 7-year old, right? And then I would get myself up in the morning, and then I would get myself ready to go to school, right? She slept a lot, which I later realized was because like she, was stealing and taking prescription pills, right? So she was sleep a lot, and like I had to take a lot of responsibility. And I always say that like I became an adult at 7 because essentially I was taking care of myself, but also like in a way taking care of my mom. And it really like impacts like how I show up for other people, where I find myself a lot of times like going into a mother role or automatic big sister or auntie role, even when like it's not necessary. And that really like dictated the rest of my childhood. Around like 8, that's when, like 8 or 9, that's when like I would say shit hit the fan. A memory that I remember is I was at Chimborazo Elementary School. I was in 3rd grade in Miss Miles' class. Miss Burke was the principal. If y'all know Miss Burke, she's a legend here. And they called me to the office, and they're like, "Oh, your mom is on the phone." So I pick up the phone. My mom is in California.
Wow.
She was just in Richmond.
Wow.
She's calling to tell me that somebody is coming to pick me up, and that's who I'll be with. And then that is when I started experiencing um child sexual abuse from those family members. I started to experience a lot of verbal and emotional abuse from other family members. Like, you're not grateful. You lucky my parents took you in because blah blah blah. Just very like just mean spiritedness. And whole time I'm trying to figure out like where's my mama at? When is she coming back? Like so like it was this back and forth of her coming back to Virginia, then taking me back to California, then her sending me by myself on a plane, not telling me I'm coming back. I just show up at the airport one morning instead of going to school, and she's walking me to the gate, and she crying like, "Oh, I have to send you back." Girl, why you ain't tell me that?
Right.
So I had a lot of instability in my life, and a lot of decisions were made for me without me being considered. Um, like I said, I was a survivor of child sexual assault from ages 9 to 13, and when I was at Benford, that is when I finally told that I was being sexually abused. And I didn't think life could get worse, but baby, it did. Came home one day, all my stuff was packed up. And on another side of the family had to come pick me up. No one knew what was going on because they didn't tell them, and I had to switch schools. And there was no conversations being had. So I experienced a lot of like physical, emotional, and sexual abuse as a child. And I would say that like there was a good portion of my life where when I went away to college at ODU and undergrad, and then I moved to DC, I said I would never move back to Richmond. I said I would never come back here because everything that I've ever experienced here was horrible. Like, my abuser is alive, still living in the house where I was getting abused, and no one gives a fuck. Like, it's literally, excuse me, I don't know if I can cuss on this.
Daily
It's
contact.
literally, it's literally like I have to relive my trauma here. But I got really sick, and then I decided like I wanted to come back and be closer to the family that I was close to, but I never had a close familial relationship. I never like had a safe space or safety. I didn't know what stability was until I was like in my late 20s. So for me, my childhood, although I love Richmond deeply, there was a portion of my life where I never wanted to be here again.
Child, all the things. First off, thank you for sharing all of that. I don't know if she got off yet, but I wanted to read some comments from Nubia. She said she had a meeting. She said, I remember when you moved back to California when we were kids. I was so sad. Aw. I didn't realize y'all went to school together. What school was that? Was she at Benford too?
She went to elementary school with me too. We went to Linwood Holton because my 4th and 5th grade year, I went to Linwood Holton because they had just opened that school.
Okay. Y'all were at Halton together. I was going to say, because I know Nubia from Henderson, I think, child, all the schools. Wow. So a whole lot. Like, becoming a latchkey kid at 7 is crazy because I now have a 6-year-old and I'm just trying to picture that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
huh? So question for you. Is your mom still living?
Yes.
What's the relationship?
So, um, Right now, I would say that we have a casual relationship where like she sends me TikToks on TikTok, or she might send me like an Instagram post or something. I'll text her every now and then, on her birthday or a holiday. If I see like an old picture, like I have this old picture of her that I found of her and I, like it was like the last picture we took together until my college graduation.
Mm,
And I like sent that to her. And I've seen her in the past 2 years. I've seen her once, but most of my life has consisted of me not knowing where my mom is. So now, like, I know where she lives, I know where she is, I know how to get in touch with her, but I wouldn't say that we have a very close relationship. I would say that, like, if I wanted to see her, I would be able to see her.
mm-hmm.
But there is like a lack of communication. Um, and it's to a point now where like I don't really like go out of my way to try to force a relationship or communication, because a lot of times like my mom has her own issues that she's dealing with, and she also has a very deep sadness. So sometimes like talking to her can be even more depressing than not talking to her, because it's like she's one of those people where she'll be like, oh, you can tell me you hate me, and I really messed up. And like when I was younger, she would cry every time we would see each other. It was a lot. So
Yeah.
now I'm at a point now where like I, try to keep tabs on her. And I want to have like more like I want to have like more say in like her care and stuff.
Mm,
Because her health is not good. Like she doesn't take care of herself and stuff. So I want to try to get to a point in our relationship to where like if she has doctor's appointments or if something's going on, like I can be like the point of contact and stuff like that, which is like really not like my job, but I know that like if I don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. So
yeah,
that's
man.
kind of how our relationship is right now.
Girl, oh, I have a comment. She says I'm gonna read it before she go. Before I go, I hope that she has apologized to you. I know it won't make the relationship better though. Um, well, here's what I have to say about that, the mother wound. Cause that joint, it's like I don't know if you experience. I'm not gonna think for you. You could just tell me. But those mother wounds are so deep. They are
Yeah.
so deep. And to me, it feels like if you aren't close to that person that gave you life, like literally you were in their womb for 9 to 10 months, that connection being broken or like stifled, that is a pain like no other. That's
Hmm.
what I've experienced. And my mom, we have a pretty good relationship now. Like it's
Hmm.
only God, honey, is the reason why we are the way we are now. But I had an event with Nakira, who also went to Benford with us, and it was
Hmm.
called
She went to Linwood Holton with me too.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we did an event together called Healing the Wounds of Our Mothers. And I remember feeling like, should I post this on social? Because my mama gonna see it. But I'm like, how else are people gonna come to the event? We don't promote it, you know?
Hmm.
But I was actually pleasantly surprised that she didn't give any pushback. And what Nubia said, about the apology, I'm not sure how that's gone, but sometimes you never get it, but then sometimes you have to be okay with never getting it. And that is also a deep pain that it's like a longing that you feel that
Hmm.
nothing could ever fulfill. You could go on to do so many great things. You could feel good about yourself. You can start to love yourself, but it's always like a little hole, a little piece that's missing. We
Yeah.
talk a lot about daddy issues, but people, for some reason, because we're supposed to revere our moms, right?
Hmm.
Religion teaches us that as well. I'm not saying that any of that is wrong, but it really
Yeah.
stifles people's voice to be able
Yeah.
to share their truths when they don't have a quote unquote honorable mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's really no other way I can say that, to be honest. I know
Yeah.
it's rude, but yeah.
But my mom has always apologized. But like, how do I say this without sounding like rude? Okay.
That's what I say. I say I
For
know
those okay, for those that know me, y'all know my intention.
yeah.
If you've never been in a situation similar to mine, and you will not understand how apology don't mean shit. Like apologies are cute because apologies like are like, oh, okay, they recognize they did something wrong, but apologies are not for me, they're for my mom. She's apologizing because she fucked up. She's not apologizing because for what I'm going to feel moving forward, because she will never feel that, right? So for me, like, she said sorry plenty of times. She's expressed ad nauseum how she feels bad about my life and everything like that, and how she's missed out on so much, blah, blah, blah. And like, I hear that, and logically I understand that, but it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't make me feel any better. It doesn't change what I've experienced. And it also doesn't change the way that I see family, and understand family. And it also doesn't change the way that I see mothering and motherhood. So, apologies in theory
Mm-hmm.
are great, but like in action, they're not, because you can apologize, but the actions still remain the same. Like, you still have disappearing acts. I still don't know the truth behind things. I still, like,
Yeah.
it I'm
No.
sorry too. Like, I'm sorry this happened too. Like, we both
Now,
sorry that this happened, but now what?
now what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You picking up the pieces and you moving forward. You doing the best you can with what you got, honey.
Exactly.
All you can do.
Exactly.
I also know in my notes here that you were a ward of the state until 18.
hmm So, child. Most people had, so at one point, the first family that I lived with, they had custodianship of me. No one ever had legal custody of me, which is absolutely crazy to me. Because my mom hasn't, I have not been in the care of my mother since I was like 8 years old. So I had custodianship when I came forward about being molested, and I was sent to live with my great aunt on my maternal, um, grandmother's side. Um, they didn't have custodianship for me. It was just kind of like somebody wrote on a piece of paper, like, "Oh, Kalyn can stay with them." And back in the day, that's all you needed to enroll a child into school. You didn't need no legal paperwork, which is also crazy to me. Like, and then when I moved to California, so for people who have been in foster care or have been ward of estates, everyone knows that we have a bag or suitcase that travels with us everywhere we go. That one thing that we put everything, and we have a giant folder. Your giant folder has your immunization records, your birth certificate, your social security card, any documentation that's important. You, no matter how old you are, child, are responsible for this. So
Wow.
me and my little folder and my little suitcase traveled 3,000 miles to Sacramento, California to live with my grandma, who I had only met a few times because
Mm.
her and my mom did not have a good relationship. And from I I mean, I was young, so I didn't think about like who has custody or anything. When it was time for me to apply for my FAFSA, and I
Mm.
went through my folder and I pulled out the form for guardianship and custodianship, and it was blank. I
That-
said,
yeah.
no, how is this possible? And that's when I was awarded the state. I was like, oh, because when I'm going to apply for financial aid, you use your parents' stuff, but baby, I ain't got no parent legally. So I had to apply for everything on my own, which was interesting. It a little bit worked out in my favor when it came to student loans, because clearly I had zero when I turned 18, because I turned 18 my senior year. I was one of the first people to turn 18. And I had not been to the doctors. I had not been to the dentist, none of that since I was like 12.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I need to go to the OBGYN, like, all these things on my body changing. And my grandma at the time, I love her dearly, but this was definitely a mishap on her part, was like, oh, well, you need to figure that out. So I went down to the state, to the, state office building. I got on, I think it was called like Cal Care or whatever the Medicare is called in California. Mind you, I'm 18. Got on that, got on the bus, and caught the bus to North Sacramento, and went to my first OBGYN appointment by myself. Got my first little pack of birth control. And from then on out, I applied for all the stuff. Any government assistance I needed, any colleges, scholarships, anything. Like I said, I became an adult at 7. So when I found out I was awarded the state, I was like floored, because I was like, I could have been, someone could have had custody of me and I could have been getting benefits. Like, I could have been like on my grandmother's health insurance this entire time.
Child, first of all, that is a lot. I had a question and then it just went out of my head. I want to know until that question comes back. Given all that you have shared, what are your feelings around safety and stability at 34 years old?
It be whooping my ass. I really struggle. Listen, I struggle immensely with the fear of being housing insecure, not having food, not having stable employment. And that's why I stay with a bag. Like, one thing, if you know one thing about me, I stay with a job. You ain't never gonna find me not with a job. If it's money to be made, I'm gonna make it.
Period.
Okay. And my work ethic is absolutely, you could tell I'm unwell. That's the best way I can describe it. I'd be like, y'all, I'm unwell. But the thing about it is, I love working. I love productivity. And it's probably because, like, all my life, like, being involved in doing things, like, allowed me to, like, block out the bad stuff. And now that I don't have any like real life stressors that are like bad like that, like the normal adulting stuff, like I have learned to enjoy work because I can choose what I want to do and I'm not doing it out of like desperation and like urgency. That's one thing that I work on a lot in therapy is like not doing things out of desperation and urgency. Um yeah, I think that answered the question.
That's so good. No, that's good. I'm so glad you answered that question the way that you did, honey, because it be whooping ass. Do you hear
No,
me?
for real.
Like, it don't be no threat present, honey. Your brain be like, alarm, alarm, alarm. Like,
Exactly. I will literally be like, oh my God, I missed my car note. They gonna come and get my car. And I have been I have defaulted 6 months on a car before in the past and they still didn't come get my car. They made me set up a payment plan. Like I logically know
yes,
what the next steps are, but in my head is like, oh, if I don't pay X, Y, and Z by this day, I'm gonna
absolutely.
be homeless. And people are like, that's not even how that works.
It's
Like there's
so
a process to getting evicted.
right. It's so irrational, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're smart enough to know, like, this is dumb as hell, but your
exactly.
brain, like,
And
no, this is real.
and my husband comes from a very different like upbringing, so it's nice having someone who like is able to like talk me through it. He'll be like, you're spiraling. He's like, let's talk through this. Like, why do you feel this way? Or he'll remind me that like, oh no, we have this, we have that, you have that. Like, you have these things. Like
Oh,
the
bless him. Love him.
listen, he is heaven sent for real, for real.
Love him.
So it's nice having a partner who has a different upbringing than mine because I need somebody to like remind me that like other people may have let you down in a way that felt irreparable, but you are not going to do that to yourself.
Ooh,
And you have a support system now that will make sure that you do not experience what you had experienced.
child, and y'all
Um,
together for how long?
12 years.
That is a long ass time. When did y'all meet? How old are you?
I was 22, turning 23.
That is amazing to me. And
Mhm.
it sounds like he has a lot of emotional intelligence. It sounds
Yes.
from informed. And hell, being with your ass, he got to know what's
No,
going on. You
no, for real. He like it's so funny like when like he learned more and more about like my mom and stuff like that. Like he's met my mom several times. They have a good relationship or whatever like that. But like he like if my mom tells me something, we both look at each other and be like, she probably lying. So like we be devising plans on like, all right, so we need to get proof. How we gonna get proof?
yeah,
So he
y'all,
he definitely understands it.
y'all sound like y'all have a really good friendship.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? I asked somebody this on my podcast before who they are now, he's now divorced, but at the time he was still married. And I asked him because I was hearing some codependency. How does that, if at all, show up in your relationship?
Yeah, I would say that like when I met my husband, I was already extremely independent. I was an independent black woman who ain't need nobody, no man, no nothing. So like for me, it was an unlearning process to allow someone to like show up for me. And even to this day, I am still working through allowing him to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say with me, like getting into therapy and like my diagnoses and stuff like that, like and understanding myself more, I have become a lot more open to help, especially from him. um I wouldn't say I was necessarily codependent on him because like I still have a very, very like strong sense of self and independence when it comes to the things that I want, the things that I do. Like I'm not one of those people where it's like I'm gonna ask him if I should do X, Y, and Z. Like I don't need his assistance with making like decisions that are not like life altering. Like if it's a decision that's going to impact both of us, then yes. But if it's like, oh, I want to cut my hair off and get a perm, like I have now, some finger waves, like I'm not gonna be like, do you think I should, like I'm gonna be like, I'll cut my hair. He could be like, okay, like you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I think that
Yeah.
it's been like, I don't think that the codependency is there. I will say that I am extremely lazy now,
Mm.
because like if I want some water and I'm like in my office and I'll be like, can you give me some water? He'll be like, sure, and he'll like bring me the water. So like that I would say, yeah, when it comes to like having to like get my own water or bringing groceries in and
Yeah.
lifting heavy stuff, yeah, codependent girl, I'm not doing it.
Absolutely. And that ain't even codependence. You do it, okay?
Exactly. Like what you
You
here
got the muscle.
for?
You got the muscle.
Put the gas in the car, please. Like, so
I love
that's
that. Shout out to hubby. I want to ask you something because you touched on it a little bit already. What can you say to, and we're talking to black people right now, and shout out to my girl Gabby in the comments. She said survival from trauma is a different vibe. That's right.
listen,
It is a whole different.
child, it is definitely different.
This is let me write another note real quick. Um this segment right here, I want you to solely speak to the black community and black men about how they view black women who have this independent woman complex. What can you
Yeah,
say about that?
black men.
Come on,
I
girl.
know that we have a very difficult relationship because I'm always calling y'all on y'all shit. Like if it's anybody who's going to pull you by the coattail, is me. But like I said in an article I did with the Richmond Scene, is that black women in particular should not have to be feeding, fucking, or financing you for you to protect them. And when it comes to black women being hyper independent, that stems from a lack of protection, safety, and stability. So if they don't feel those things from you, it is going to be difficult for them to let their guard down. And if you value this person, which you should because they're a person, but if you value this person, and whether they are, someone that you are just friends with or you're trying to be in a relationship with, like, you need to understand that it is a process. You are going to have to be patient with them, and that if a black woman or femme or whomever is not allowing you to do things for her or show up for her, then she likely doesn't feel protected, safe, or stable. And it is okay for you to vocalize that, hey, what am I doing that's making you feel like you can't trust me to do this? Or what has happened to where you feel like you have to take all this on? And another thing that my now husband did when we were dating was, I was like going through a deep depression. And I ain't saying every man gotta do this, but it speaks volumes, is I needed therapy, but I wasn't working at the time. He paid for me to start therapy 10 years ago because he was like, I can't, like, I don't have the tools to help you in the way that it seems you need help, but I'm willing to, you know, finance you to get the things that you need to help yourself. So if you see this woman that you love is like struggling to like let her guard down and let you in, she may need therapy, but she may not know how to go about it. She may not be able to afford it. She may not even feel comfortable vocalizing that. So you need to have these heart to heart conversations. And you also need to show your vulnerability too, because ain't no way in hell you expect for us to let our guard down when trying to show off for your niggas. Like, please do better. So that's what I got to say to the black man. And y'all can hate me all you want to. I don't care.
No, that was good, honey. And also you hit the nail on the head at the end. You said you got to show your vulnerability too. That's what I was gonna say. Like, bring your masculinity down a little bit,
Yeah.
whatever we want to call that. Yeah, to really see your woman, to really see
Mm-hmm.
your woman. Look past adult Soleil and see. You know what? Damn, baby. What? Tell me, like,
Yeah.
what was it? Who did it?
Exactly.
How can we make sure that don't happen again?
Exactly.
been having so many conversations lately around the idea of masculinity. Who gave
Hmm.
you, who told you that that's what that was? Who told you that
Yeah.
that's what it means? Sit down with yourself and think, do you really believe that?
Yeah.
Are you going to redefine this shit for yourself? Because
Exactly.
a lot of what our men are operating in right now really was not designed for them. That is some old white man's version
Hmm.
of success, version of masculinity, version of manhood. Sit down and really reckon with that, and really reckon with why your kids ain't calling you, why your wife
Hmm.
understands you, why you don't like your mama, why you dating outside of your race explicitly and only,
Hmm.
like, really
Hmm.
things, and
Yeah.
figure out, okay, something that I'm doing that I was taught that I'm operating in, it ain't serving me. You not being able to express yourself and tell somebody I'm depressed today, or I'm sad today, or I need a hug
Mhm.
today, or I need the day off today, or I'm tired. That y'all operating in something that was given to you that ain't serving you. So like,
Exactly.
deconstruction is important for growth. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start watching more of your content around Massage Noir, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't know what the hell that was when I first started seeing talk about that a couple of years ago. But I think where I'm at right now, the conversations that I'm having, because I date an older man, I've always dated older men. We've been
Hmm.
having some really hard conversations about masculinity, and I just finished reading The Mastery of Love. Um,
Hmm.
I'm reading All About Love by Bell Hooks. And the first couple of chapters, she came out swinging like bow, 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 hitting all, like, the
Hmm.
massage noir conversation was all up and through that.
Yeah.
So now I want to educate myself a little bit more, because I feel like I've been having these conversations a lot. I
Hmm.
want to get more educated on it. I know this is what you study and what you teach. So shout out to you, honey, for making the people mad, because your ass need to be uncomfortable sometimes.
No, we do. And like the thing about it is like people don't realize that misogynoir is not just a man's problem. It's black women also have internalized misogynoir. Like misogynoir happens in all groups towards black women. So like we can also perpetuate that towards other black women and stuff. So it is a learning process for us all. Like no one comes out the womb and grows up in life and doesn't feed into certain ideologies that may be negative or harmful. Like we have to unlearn that stuff. And I just think it's unfortunate that a lot of like, especially like black men, like they just they have been conditioned to believe that they are not required to do the work. And everyone is required to do the work. No one is exempt from it, including myself.
Including myself, yeah. And I have to say this before we move on. Black men, we love y'all. So
Yeah.
that we call you up in love while we call ourselves up in love and do the work as well. Thank you for answering.
Hmm.
I wanted to go back to your college days, because you touched on the FAFSA thing. You went to ODU. You
Yeah.
studied English, poetry, and linguistics. You graduated in 2013. You were the president of poetry clubs. Sounds like you was doing your thing in
Hmm.
college.
Hmm. Hmm.
You met your husband right after college, or
Right after undergrad. Hmm.
talk to me a little bit about your college experience.
Yeah, so undergrad was interesting. And I would say that like I enjoyed college because it just allowed me to kind of like do the things that I wanted to do as far as like be involved in things that I wanted to be involved with, meet people that I never met, like study things that I've always been interested in. Really like hone my craft as just like a poet and a writer, falling in love with linguistics and learning about like language and like language discrimination and all stuff like that. And I would say that like I have never had an issue with like finding friends and having friends, but I would say that in college I really was able to like reconnect with a lot of people I went to middle school with, which was really fun because it was like a reunion. Like there were so many people, and I don't think a lot of people who are not from Richmond know this about me, but like I went to school like to many schools in different sides of the city because I moved around so much. So like I know people from different sides of the city because I went to school with them.
Yeah.
So and I've always kept in touch with people because I've always been very active on the internet, and that's kind of how I kept up with people. So college was a really great time to like reignite those relationships and to make new relationships with people that I may not have known, or people that like me and you went to middle school. My right hand, my best friend Jasmine Crawley also went to Benford, but we didn't become friends until my freshman year of college when we were both in the poetry club, and I was president, she was vice president, and she was in my wedding. She is literally like my person. So like college was just a very, very like affirming time for me. Um, and it was a really good time for my mom's and I's relationship. Like she really like showed a side of herself I had never seen before, where we were talking consistently. She would, send me her food stamp card when I was living in the apartments to get food. She would Western Union me money. Now where she was getting the money from, I don't know, because she ain't had no job since I was like 8. But she would Western Union me money when I needed it to
Period.
get stuff. And I was able to talk to her about stuff that was happening that most of my friends could not talk to their mothers about because of just, I guess, how mother-daughter relationships are. But because my mom has never been like my mom, I felt comfortable telling her things. In my head, I was like, girl, you can't judge me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, girl, please. So it was just a really good time for me, but it was also a very eye-opening time for my mental health. I definitely towards the end of my college experience was dealing with a lot of serious mental health issues, um and I was very avoidant of doing what I needed to do to take care of them.
You know what I find interesting? This is something I learned from my studies when I was trying to figure out what I was going through with mental health in my early
Mhm.
20s. And I learned that like big transitions in your adolescent years, your young adult years can really bring about those mental health breaks and episodes and
Mhm.
mental health. And a lot of people don't realize that. So I say this to parents that have children going off to college. Talk to your child, keep your eye on your child, and
Yeah.
be on the lookout, because people can be predispositioned for certain things. Any
Yep.
trauma gone through, it could be things. If you got other mentally ill people in your family, you want to look
Yep.
out for that stuff, because these big transitions, these kids essentially still are going off to college and dorm rooms and experiencing people and life and sex and apartments and
Mhm.
drugs and parties for the first time, and they're exposed to so much that doesn't mean live in fear, but you
Yeah.
make sure you continue talking to your child and be watchful of any changes.
Exactly.
Sometimes you got to go lay your eyes on your baby, because a lot of people have their first mental health break in their 20s, and a lot
Yep.
of kids in their early 20s um, are in college, or not in early 20s, but that from
Yeah.
high school to college age. So I
Mhm.
find it interesting that you say that, because when I had my first mental health episode, I was the first one was drug induced, but I was in my early 20s, like when they were just happening without any marijuana.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that. I just wanted to put that in there. Um, so I know that you got into teaching after school, right? Did I put that right?
Yeah, I started teaching when I was finishing up my master's at Bowie State.
Yes, you went to Bowie, masters in organizational communication. Did I write that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you wanted to be a professor, which you are now.
Yeah.
Love that for you. And I want to tie back in that mental health piece, because I also have a note here that you experienced microaggressions for the first time, working for like a Jewish boss and all of that stuff. Were you still going through the mental health challenges in the midst of working at that job?
Yes and no. So I started going to therapy in 2014, I want to say. And I got on medication probably because I was misdiagnosed. First, they thought I had dysthymia because I was always depressed. Then they thought I had bipolar 2. So from like 2014 to 2021, I was on medication for bipolar disorder and PTSD. And in hindsight, the medication was not working because I was constantly having mental breaks. I was just telling my best friend the other day, like 2017, like I was in rare form. Like I think back to the things that I was doing and saying in 2017, and sometimes it makes me sick to my stomach because I'm like, yeah, I should not have been on that medication because that medication was actually making me worse. And 2017 was also around the time that I started working at this job. So I was dealing with that, also thinking around the fact, am I autistic? Do I have ADHD? Like, what is going on? Like, there was so much going on in my head because I'm just trying to understand, like, why nothing is working. Why am I having such a hard time in the workplace, in a traditional workplace, and like working for a white man who the microaggressions, references to like asking me like if I heard about the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj beef, and like
What?
he had an obsession with DJ Khaled. It was a very weird work environment. He called me the culture of the office because I was like the first Black woman he ever hired. So it was, I wasn't there very long. I was probably there for like 6 to 8 months, and then I was like, I can't do this, and that's when I got like back into teaching. And yeah, I was definitely dealing with a lot of mental health issues. And that job really was not helping.
Let me ask you something. If you could think back to that first break that you had,
Hmm.
and I have such a different view on mental health now since I've been doing this podcast. Dr. King says, "Sorry you went through that, friend." I am too. It's heavy. What I now view as a mental health break or like psychosis or whatever, people holding on to too much. We holding on to so much.
Hmm.
And your mind just like, bitch, I need to go offline. Hold up.
Yep. I was offline. All right. My
Hold
God.
here and I will be back. Okay.
Hmm.
That's how I view it. I used to be so afraid to see people on the side of the road, like talking to themselves. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna get me. You know what I'm saying? Like just so
Hmm.
so afraid, just didn't understand mental health. And this podcast has really given me a peek into people's minds, and
Yeah.
humanizing them because I've had episodes where I'm like, my brain is offline. I am not
Yeah.
here. And
Hmm.
hear people reference mental health and reference people who are experiencing psychosis and mental health breaks. It just saddens me because I'm like, you are so lucky that
Hmm.
you've never experienced that shit. Because
Hmm.
you wouldn't even fix your mouth to call anybody crazy. And now my new motto is the worst thing someone can call me is not crazy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because we all got a brain, and if
Hmm.
you are experiencing something mentally, it is your body and your brain's way of just saying, hey, something's going on here. And it's just a
Hmm.
reaction to some entry point of trauma or something that changed your brain. And people just don't understand that. And I'm just grateful that I now have that understanding and that we can literally sit here and kiki and talk about mental health. Like, girl, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we're whole human beings with brains. And they
Yeah.
intricate. They're very different. If you know one person with autism, don't mean you know everybody with autism.
That is very true.
One person with PTSD, you don't know all people with PTSD.
Nope.
So I can have 20,000 people come on this podcast with bipolar or PTSD or autism, whatever, and you still don't know that diagnosis. You know that person and their.
Hmm.
So I wanted to ask you if you could remember like that first mental health break and what that looked like and what you did, because it sounds like you did something because you went and got on medication. But what did that look like for you?
So that wasn't my first mental health break. My first mental health break, as I understand it and realize now, was when I was 8 years old.
Mm.
And I vividly remember I had just been separated from my mother. It was a very dramatic scene. And I remember laying in the bed where I was staying at, where I was supposed to be staying at, with all the lights off and a ball crying so hard that I like threw up. And then from that moment, I remember just feeling dead. Like I just felt very like disconnected. And for a very long time, it felt like I was in an outer body experience day to day. Like I was watching things happen, but I wasn't like experiencing them happening. And I think that's also when I realized I didn't realize that I was being molested because I wasn't present in my body, right? So that's when I had my first mental break, and I would say that quiet as kept that when I started self harming. And self-harming was the way that I would get myself to come back into my body. And I self-harmed all the way until I was 24. And 24 is when I had my third mental health break, because I had one at the end of undergrad, because I remember I was on the top floor in BAL and I hadn't slept and eaten in days, and Jasmine found me.
Mm.
And she was like, you was clearly out of it. Like I had lost my fucking mind. For lack of better words. And then the one where I had went to therapy, that's when my one of my best friends, she was my roommate at the time, she was scared that I was going to harm myself because of just how I was acting. And that's when my now husband suggested therapy, and that's when I started going to therapy. So that was probably the first time that I had like some type of like intervention, and sought out therapy. And like when I got into therapy, the very first session, it was like a rubber band popped. And I was I'm so thankful for Dr. Lancaster, that was my therapist at the time, a Black lady, for not like being so alarmed that she immediately says, "Oh, you need to be hospitalized." Because if I would have went to anyone else, especially if they would have had me in a hospital for 50 days with the stuff that I was saying. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Woo, girl. I'm so grateful. Even though this is a heavy conversation, I love talking about stuff like this because everyone could go through this. People think
Yeah.
it could be them. People think it could never be them. Then
Mm-hmm.
people see folks, you know, Anthony Bourdain, for example. I just can't believe, baby, he been through some stuff. The
Mm-hmm.
trauma of it all. People don't just wake up and use drugs, honey. You
Yeah. No.
like people go through stuff, and I'm very what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the only thing I can think of right now, like very in awe of how you've been picking up the pieces. And I love how honest you are because you spoke on something earlier about like your workaholicism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to work, and you said openly, very candidly, like that was the way to keep my mind off of shit. There are
Yeah.
so many Black women who are killing it in academia right now,
Mm-hmm.
decorated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of trauma behind that shit.
Child, tell me, I know him, and I just be looking at him like, you need to go see that lady.
You need to go talk to the lady. I told my friend, I
Yeah.
said, you take your ass back to school one more time. Because
No,
now
for real, because the degree ain't gonna stop it. It's not gonna.
you're going to be Dr. So-and-so, still anxiety ridden. No shade at all, because I love the
Is it?
girls decorated. I love,
Yes. Yeah.
don't get me wrong. We are some
Mm-hmm.
powerhouses. We going to shake this shit up. I love that for us.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do both at the same time. You can go see that,
Yeah.
and you can go be that lady with doctor in front of your name, too. You know,
And another thing is, very brilliant Black women, which are most Black women, because whether you're decorated or not, Black women are just very smart. We know how to, and I hate to say it, we know how to manipulate a situation to where we're not telling the full truth in therapy. If you are going to therapy, you have to tell the truth. That's the thing. Like, people don't be telling the truth. And I know they not, because I be friends with people like that. And I be thinking to myself, like, what you're telling me right now, I know you're not telling your therapist, because if you were telling your therapist this, you would be working through this a different way. Like, you playing in my face and you playing in their face. And I think that a lot of times, like, Black women think that because we do have, hyper independence, and we have to like do these things to survive, that when we go to therapy, we still have to have like that mask on. And that is the space where you are supposed to be your most vulnerable
that's
self.
deep shit for you to pay that lady
Waste your money.
and be lying to that lady or not tell her. That's some deep shit. Take the
Mm-hmm.
mask off.
Mm-hmm.
Don't I know it's easier said than done, but that is
Yeah.
fucking deep. For you to say, okay, I need to do this. Let me go to therapy. You find that Black lady because you know we thought she gotta be Black, she gotta be that. And then you go in there and you're not even being real with her. And then people think we be thinking people can't see our shit.
Yeah.
We be thinking people can't see that we're not being real with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That should be crazy to me. I just want the girls to get the help that they deserve because
Same.
support
Same.
that they deserve, the
Same.
unity that they deserve, the
Mm-hmm.
friendships that they deserve, the relationships that they deserve. But
Mm-hmm.
we got to be real with ourselves. And if we're going to go
Yeah.
see that lady, be real with that lady,
No,
period.
for real.
But you have
Yeah.
picked pieces, honey, and you
Mm-hmm.
figured this shit out. And I love that. You are so honest, so candid. And that's just not something you see every day. People don't like that I am so north side. I am so
Yeah,
this and that. You cannot put me in a fucking box. It's never
exactly.
going to happen. My Christian friends, and I'm a believer, they want me to act this way, act that way, or you don't be.
No.
I'm not you and you not me. This is the call
Mm-hmm.
that God gave me. This is the life that God gave me. Y'all don't even
Mm-hmm.
know the chapters and the pieces that I'm carrying every day and working through. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
be who you want me to be. I can't be who you thought I was. You
Exactly.
you should have read these other chapters before you came in seeing Soliel Lindsey, Soleil Payne,
Mm-hmm.
Rise Essentials. You was only interested in that part of me. But
Exactly.
you can get to come in and dictate who you thought I was. No, Bookie, I'm not that girl. And I love you.
Exactly.
I love you too. So that's what I love about you. I just had to give you your flowers. You are that girl. You said it. And
Thank you.
people gonna be like, oh, she's cocky. No, she knows who the fuck she is. And I
Mm-hmm.
pray that you get to know who you are. And you can
Yeah.
see your truth and take whatever pain that you're going through and figure that out so that when you do see people who know who the fuck they are, it doesn't offend you so much.
Yeah. Like, don't need to be offended. I always tell people, like, they're, like, I know I say my pronoun was Beyonce, but, like, I live in a world full of Beyoncés. Let's, like, full stop. Like, every black woman I come into contact with, in my eyes, is Beyonce. Like, you are capable of the greater things that you want to do. Like, I'm not competing with you. You shouldn't be competing with me. And to be quite honest, I want to see you win in whatever it is that you want to do. Because guess what? I'm not gonna fucking do it. So somebody got to do it, and I would rather a black woman do it. So yeah, I think that everyone should, like, really, like, stand in their confidence and understand that, like, you are on your path, and your path is your own, no matter how many times you have to pivot. And you are not in competition with other people. Everyone can get a piece of the pie.
Shine your light, as I always say.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2017, you talked about the job and the transitions and the mental health episodes. You got sick to a point where you couldn't walk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I have two chronic illnesses, but at that time I was only diagnosed with one. So rare skin disease called hidradenitis suppurativa. It's very common now. People are really talking about it more, but it really just impacts all different parts of your body where you get these very painful, like, abscesses and boils and stuff, and there's really no way to, like, really control it per se. Like, there have been advancements in medication, some dietary things might work for some people, but it's literally a case by case, day by day basis. Like, my illness has changed every year. Like, every few years it's a whole different ball game. And I had got on a medication that was supposed to help, like, put me in remission and, like, really help it, and the medication made me sick to the point where I had a uncurable, for the most part, infection called pseudomonas.
Mm.
For almost 2 years I was immune to all. To have a nurse come to the house and um do, like, IV antibiotics. So I had, like, an IV, like a PIC line is what they call it. Um, I had open wounds everywhere, all in the front of my legs, back of my legs, under my arms, under my breast. So I was bedbound for quite some time. I was in and out of hospitals. I got sepsis. So at one point we was like, girl, are you about to, is this it? Right. So it was a very scary time for me.
Mhm.
Luckily in the top of 2019, I met a black dermatologist at Howard University Hospital who was well versed in the illness. And she put me on a steroid, and then the steroid, like, put me into remission, and then I started another injection medicine that worked, but the steroid caused me to, like, gain 200 pounds in, like, 8 months, so that impacted my mobility as well. So although like I was in remission, my body is much different than it was before. So I'm having to, at that time, having to learn how to exist in this body. And my mobility now is not as bad as it was, but I still, usually travel when I'm like flying and stuff with a cane. I use wheelchair services depending on like my body and stuff. I'm very mindful of like the activities and stuff that I do because I know that like my legs and stuff are just weaker than they were. As far as like my chronic illnesses, like I'm doing everything that I can, everything that the doctors are trying to do. I've had like 20 plus surgeries.
Mm,
But it's just something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. My goal is to just to try to avoid being as sick as I was at that point.
yeah.
And stress also plays a big role in it as well, in like chronic illnesses. So I'm really grateful that I'm in a place now where my life stressors are not as detrimental as they were previously. So yeah.
Child, one thing that we talked about on our pre-interview call, and I was shocked at your, not shocked, but I was like, oh, I didn't know she was going to answer it like that. But again, the girl be real. You be real, you know?
Hmm.
I asked you how much you think your trauma has played a part in these physical ailments. Do you remember?
Hmm.
Do we talk about that?
I think we did. Yeah. I
What do you,
probably don't remember what I said.
what do you thought? The body keeps the scope. You read that book?
Yeah, I definitely think that like a lot of my illnesses are manifestations of trauma. I also think that they're also manifestations of overworking myself and not listening to my body. And that's just me being like straightforward. Like I definitely think that it comes from me not taking care of myself. But I also think that it is a lot of like I'm not pointing fingers, but I do like blame like those that I wasn't care of because I started experiencing these things when I was like 16. So it wasn't like, oh, this just appeared in my late 20s. No, I had been dealing with this since I was 16 and I didn't get surgery until like my Aunt Irene, and that's my nice lady, love her down. I had told her what was going on. I showed her and she said, yeah, we're taking you to the doctor. And I literally had gotten a surgery like months later. And ever since then, when I was in college, she stayed on top of making sure that if I needed to get another surgery, I got another surgery. If I, everything that I needed. So she taught me basically how to advocate for myself and how to take care of myself. But prior than that, I was just, love my grandma down. But my grandma was telling me, oh, um, just put a band-aid on it or just put gauze on it. Are you all right? Like, and I'm like, girl.
It's easier to ignore with that generation. We love them down, but
Yeah,
you know. Nubia said you've been through so much and still shine so bright. I agree.
you.
I agree, honey. I do. I do. You saw 4 different psychiatrists to get a proper diagnosis. What are these diagnoses now for your mental health?
So I end up getting a full psych eval when they were trying to see if I had autism 23. So I have like my actual final diagnoses by the book. So I have major depressive disorder, PTSD, OCD. My OCD looks like impulsive thoughts, not necessarily like how some people's OCD may show up as like repetitive things. Mine is like impulsive thinking, like intrusive thoughts. Um, ADHD, severe anxiety or general anxiety disorder, and autism spectrum 1, level spectrum 1. So those
How,
are like my things.
how did you feel getting all of that finally?
I was like really like I knew it. That's how I felt like, like, and this might be just like I don't know if this is a black woman thing or just like it might be a professional thing for me, but like when I like have done the research and I know something and then like it comes back correct, I'd be like, I knew it. And that's how I felt. And then I had to like talk to the doctor and I had to like unpack those things. And then I felt like a deep sadness because I was like, I have lived my life
Yes, God.
without the assistance and accommodation and support that I needed, and it was overlooked. So that was disheartening, but also it was just affirming.
Mm.
And I also feel like it isolated me from some people because I feel like people have a perception of you to where like when you say I have X, Y, and Z, they don't want to believe it. Like I remember my grandma was talking something about my cousin and I was like, yeah, she might be neurodivergent. Like I have ADHD and I take Adderall. She was like, I don't think you have ADHD. And I was like, that's not how it works. It's not about what you think. Right. So like I think that a lot of times people have expectations or assumptions that because your life looks a certain way. Like even my own psychiatrist, who I love, but like I even had to kind of like chew her up a little bit because she was kind of like pushing back against the fact that I wanted to be evaluated for autism. And my therapist has been with me longer than my psychiatrist. And I was like, me and my therapist have literally been discussing this since the day I started therapy with her in 2020, my new therapist. And we have literally done EDMR. We have done like everything to unpack to make sure this is the next step. Like, I did all the things to get to this step. Like, I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I think I'm autistic. Like, no, like, I did the thing. So I think, like, you know, people gonna think what they want to think. They gonna say what they want to say. But one thing that I've known about myself is that, like, I live a very hard life.
Come on.
And
Ooh.
I think that I have authority over what I decide to do for myself. And if me getting a full psych eval, getting the right, care team that I need, taking the medication I need to take, going to therapy that I need to, go to therapy, then I am going to do that
Yeah.
because I have to. Like my life is exponentially better
Yeah.
than it was before.
Let me tell you something. What you just said makes me think about that comment that I made earlier when I said the worst thing somebody can call me is not crazy.
Yeah.
Because first of all, shout out to Mrs. Green because I know she's probably on here. She's in her 60s and she comes back to this podcast every single month because she wants to
Oh,
learn, she wants to grow.
I love that.
Is amazing. There are so many people that are boomers and Gen Xers that come consistently and support this podcast, whether it be live or the replay. And I say that to say this, there are so many people from different generations than millennials that look at us like we cry too much, we bitch too much, we moan too much. What
Mm-hmm.
is that the information and the language we have, it upsets y'all
Yeah.
because you're like, well, that ain't that. I had a 50-something-year-old woman look me in my face, someone very prominent in Richmond, Virginia, that people look up to, and told me mental health is not real. And for her to be as brilliant and looked up to as she is, two things could be true at the same time. You all of that, but you are also very ignorant. Because you know
Yes.
that my life experience didn't happen to me. And you
Yeah.
that all these neuroscientists exist for no reason. And you're not going to tell me that psychology and the DSM and all the different versions of it exist for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that you had to advocate for yourself, even towards your psychiatrist, I know someone out there listening is like, she doing too much. But when you've
Mm-hmm.
done the work, when you know who you are, when you have a whole other professional over here that can validate why you feel the need to have a mental health evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
you can push back on that because you know yourself, you know your body, you know the work that you've been doing. So sometimes, and this is what I've been experiencing for like the last 4 or 5 years or so, where people have so much to say about what I do and what I
Mm-hmm.
and how I view mental health. And what you said earlier is that what did you say a few minutes ago? I forgot how you worded it, but long story short, I'm gonna continue to do me and
Yeah.
y'all continue to do you. And if you want to think that mental health is not a real thing, well then go exist in that world that you have created that is true. Don't come over here trying to pop my bubble. You
Exactly.
when I have other 50 and 60-year-old people coming to this podcast because they actually want to learn something and the cognitive dissonance ain't so strong that it's getting in the way of them learning something new.
Exactly.
Ciao. Ciao. So call me crazy, call me whatever you want. But when is the last time you looked at your life and started connecting the dots? When is the last time you looked up other mental health diagnoses besides depression and anxiety. And it ain't no knock to that because a lot of us walking around here with it. But there are so
Yeah.
other things that you, people in your family are and have experienced that are walking around undiagnosed. And if you knew what the F was going on with you, you would
Mhm.
live a better life. And so would all the people around you dealing with your bullshit. They would also be living.
Exactly. And I always just remind myself that, like, how you choose to live your life is your business. But mental health issues run in my family, first off. And secondly, like, I I'm not about to be miserable because you refuse to believe that what I've experienced is real. That's not really my problem. Like, you made the decision to be immovable, to be someone who refuses to see the humanity in people.
Come on,
That is not a me problem. That's a you problem.
come on,
And honestly, like, if you can't see the humanity in people and understand that people have experienced things that impact their mental health, then you are, living in a very delusional world, and you are likely suffering as well.
come on.
Like, you are also a victim of society. Like, you are also, like, come on.
I told someone recently, and you kind of touched on this too. You said you've lived a very hard life, but you ain't sitting around, oh, woe is me, that deep sad.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you have your days, honey. Don't get me wrong. But I told my boyfriend recently, I said, babe, I said it's hard to be me, I feel some days.
Yeah.
It's hard to live in the truth, and then you have people walking around saying, well, that ain't real, that ain't that. They want you to believe that you're crazy,
Yep.
to believe that none of this is real.
Yep.
And it's hard. Like when you see the patterns, you can connect the dots and you see how this brain of mine works differently than what it did before all of the trauma.
Hmm.
And when you know that and other people are looking at you like, nah, y'all just crying, y'all just suck it up. That's what the lady told me. I told my kids to suck it up. That's what we had to do. That's what you had to do. That's how we have to do. We have
Exactly. And you are still suffering because of that. Because you hear yourself.
listen, so it's hard. It's hard walking in that truth and doing this work, but I feel like who else better than us,
Hmm.
find joy in life and day by day deal with whatever emotions and whatever hardships come and we gonna adjust as
Yeah.
last thing I want to talk to you about, it sounds like I was gonna talk to you about friendships and relationships, but you've already kind of noted that your friends and your husband have been the shit pretty much.
Hmm.
Last thing I want to talk about is ACEs, adverse childhood experiences.
Hmm.
Your whole life, I feel, from what I've learned from you, what we've talked about in our pre-interview, and today is a really, 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 really good example of how adverse childhood experiences affect our mental health and affect
Hmm.
health, our physical health as well. So I'm encouraging everybody that does not know what adverse childhood experiences, aka ACEs, are, to go Google it and take a test. It'll give you a number and it will tell you how many adverse child. It'll give you a score, your ACE score, and it talks to you about how these experiences will affect you at some point in your life. And so that's why I asked you earlier, how or did you feel like the things that you experienced have contributed to your mental health and your physical health? And you
Hmm.
yes, and there's a lot of people who will deny that, but listening to Dr. K's story, I would find it hard for you not to be able to connect those dots. So, what do you have to say about ACEs?
Yeah. So I've taken the, like, online version of the ACEs test, like, several times in my life. Um, I don't know why I took it multiple times, because baby, the score be the same every time. But I really found it very interesting, because I am a firm believer that, like, what we experience, our environment, and how we treat it can really impact how we show up as ourselves, and how we interact with others, how we think, what our inner monologue sounds like. Like, I firmly believe that that is all true. And I think that people that don't believe that your experiences and your environment and your upbringing do have an impact on, like, who you are as a person and your mental health and well-being, I think that, like I said, it's just like a delusion, because, like, every action has a reaction, and that also includes the reaction to things that have happened to you that have been traumatic. Like, you don't just get to walk away from trauma like it didn't happen. Because if you're doing that, you're dissociating, right? You're compartmentalizing. So there are things that you are doing, even if you're like, it don't bother me. Yeah, you're saying it doesn't bother you, but I bet you if you did some EMDR therapy, it will crawl right up out of you and you'll be sick. Okay. You'll be like, I didn't even think that. Yeah, because you're living in a world where you think that, well, I'm successful, or I still did this, or I was still able to this, and I was able to overcome blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you did all these things, but that does not mean that you were not impacted by the trauma.
And that don't mean your body didn't keep the score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. Um, The Deepest Well is a book that I read by the woman who created her name is Dr. Nadine, I think, Harrisburg. But she created that ACEs model. And it's my hope and my dream and my wish. And I want to be a part of this. I want to meet this lady one day. I would love to see ACEs incorporated in the public school system. So,
Mm-hmm.
these kids is coming and they acting up and they dirty and they disheveled and they attention seeking and they got ADHD, whatever, whatever. So you can read the story quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they need a folder that follow them everywhere they go in that school.
Yeah.
So people can know what they're dealing with. It's systemic. But The Deepest Well is the book that introduced me to Dr. Nathan Harrisburg. So y'all go check that out. I want to ask you finally, what do you do? And what I mean by that is, how are you finding joy? How are you taking care of your mental health? How are you coping with your life?
Yeah. So I actually, someone had asked this on Blue Sky the other day. They were like, how are you, coping in this world and stuff like that? Like, just asking people. And I always say this, the first thing I say is, I'm on a lot of medication and I don't miss a day.
Mm-hmm.
7 days a week, I take my medicine every morning. I am very like, that is a routine that I do not break. I go to therapy every 2 weeks. I do not miss my therapy. And if I need to go more often, I go every week. I give myself a cutoff time for work. I plan out my day because that works for me with my ADHD, is having a schedule. I also don't, I no longer force myself to go places, be around people, and do things that I don't want to do. So if that means that I want to stay in the house most days than most people, then I'm gonna stay in the house because I have everything I love in my house. Like, I make sure that my home is the place where I want to be at. It's the club for me. So I think that, like, those are the things that I do to keep me well. And I'm still like working on ways to keep myself well. Because I do know that, like, some people are like, oh, you have to get out the house, you have to exercise, you have to do all these things. And in theory, yes. But also, I'm a firm believer in that you do what you got to do that works for you in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you, over time, you can add different things in. And I know what works best for me, and what works for me right now in this moment. So those are the things that I do. I also make an effort to um spend a lot of quality time with my loved ones, and quality time that feels safe and comfortable for me. So I don't like going to the club. I don't like going to day parties. I don't like going to, like, I don't want to do a bar crawl. I don't want to do none of that. Like, I'm not interested in doing that. But what I do like to do is, I love going out to eat. I love, going to like art shows and stuff like that. Or I love sitting on the sofa and reading together on our Kindles, watching documentaries, just driving around the city, listening to music. Like, I do things with people that I love that also make me feel safe and comfortable. I don't force myself to do things just to be around people because I feel like I have to. And I think that has really, really, over the past like 5 years, impacted my mental health in a positive way. Because I used to be very much so a people pleaser, and I used to cosplay as an extrovert, where, like, yes, I'm a very bright and shiny and bubbly person, but I'm also in my home, right? So, and I seen a TikTok where this girl said this, and I laughed because me, like, I be sometimey, like, I do be acting some kind of way. And I know that about myself, but I also have a mood disorder, y'all. So, like, I am going to be moody. And because I know that about myself, I make sure that I put myself in situations where I don't have to worry about the fact that, like, y'all have exhausted me and got on my nerves, and I'm still forced to be around you for another hour or two. Like, no, I'm going to leave. I'm going to drive myself there. Like, Like,
Yeah.
I still go to people's birthday stuff and stuff like that, but I always make sure that, like, I already have my exit plan in head. Like, I already know, like, okay, at this point, I'm leaving. Like, I don't need to know the after moves because I ain't going.
Listen, when I think about you, I think about the opposite as well. People who don't know they shit. And
Mm-hmm.
around there in denial and can't nobody stand to be around them. It's like, baby girl, I know myself, okay? I'm,
Mm-hmm.
and today I don't even want to go, so I'm not coming.
Yeah.
Awareness, honey. Keep doing your work. Is there anything that you want to share before we end the podcast?
Yeah, I just want to encourage folks to, connect with me. I'm a very like open book. Like I said, I do be sometimey, but I don't be sometimey to people who like reach out to me for stuff. So don't feel like you can't reach out to me or ask me questions. I respond to most people's DMs, unless they like trying to sell me something, and I'm like, please. Make sure that you use the code Dr. K10 on the Soul Essentials website to get you a little discount. Okay.
But
I have the orange pack light hat, which I love because orange is my favorite color, and it's very rare that you find hats that are orange. So I was like, absolutely purchase that. Um, and yeah, I just want people to continue to do what's best for them, be open to changing and evolving, and understand that like just because somebody has a certain title or does certain things, like that's a part of their story. And not everybody's personality is their career,
mhm,
right? Like my personality could be that I am a professor, but no, because I do more than that. I'm more than that. And I think that it's important for people to realize that like you are valuable because you simply exist, not because of what you do or what your title is.
that's it, baby. Honey, thank you. This has been so amazing. I tried my hardest to use the right pronouns, so I hope I did.
It's okay. You did great.
Okay, thank you, girl. Still learning. This has been so, so wonderful. And I really appreciate you giving me your yes, coming to sit in the soul seat, honey, bearing it all, kicking, having a good time, dropping gems, talking about mental health, sharing your story. We got heavy stories, but we still able to find joy,
Mhm.
we're able to connect, we're still able to share our stories so people can understand, they can learn, they can be inspired. So thank you for being you, my girl. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me a space to share my story because most of those things that I talked about, the only person that know about that is my husband, my best friend, and my therapist.
Mm,
So, I rarely get an opportunity to talk about those things. And people that do know me well, like, you should write a book. Like, I don't want to do that. So I enjoy, being able to talk about those things, but I also enjoy being able to talk about them in a space where it's not like we're harping on all the bad things that happen. We are also talking about like the good things that happen too, because I think that both of them are important.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for trusting me in the platform. I appreciate you. I'm going to do some closing announcements, but you can go on and hit that X button and have an
All
amazing
right. Bye, y'all.
day. Thank you so much. Y'all, that has been episode 47 with Dr. Kalyn K. Coghill. She is absolutely amazing. If y'all don't follow them on, see, I messed up with the pronouns. I'm sorry. If y'all don't follow them on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever they at, honey, go follow. Okay, absolutely amazing. I am so full. It's time for me to hit the road because I'm going on a mini vacation with my family. Go watch the replay if you're just joining this. We will be on YouTube very soon as well with all the other episodes. But thank you. Shout out to the Soul Tribe family. Thank y'all for being so engaging, so encouraging. As always, we will see you next month for episode 48. Shout out to the Soul Tribe family. If you made it to the end, leave a sunshine emoji down in the comments. Remember to mind your mind, shine your light, honey, and go to any music platform, streaming platform, and type in Soul Rise, 2 words, SOLRISE, and listen to and download our new mental health bop song anthem. Period. Love y'all. Thank you, Dr. K. See y'all next month. Peace.